Well, today I want to talk about why carbs are causing fat accumulation, why glucose and insulin spikes are causing fat accumulation, and what to do about it. And this actually came from a couple of comments from a video that I have published about why resistant starch help us prevent insulin spikes, is a prebiotic for the beneficial bacteria, and prevents fat accumulation. So go back to that video to see how to transform your regular starch into resistant starch to prevent glucose spikes. So some of the comments that I got from the video is looking at insulin spikes after a meal. This is something that is physiologically normal. Insulin has nothing to do with fat accumulation, so stop sharing nonsense. The other one is, this is not how weight loss, fat loss works. Insulin spikes are normal. They do not prevent fat loss. So, well, I am here in this live today to demonstrate to you why too many glucose spikes or insulin spikes are causing fat accumulation, and that can be one of the reasons that is preventing you from losing weight. I would love again to see in the comments if you have any comments about it, any questions, so I can also go through. As you can see, before I begin, I also have a link in there to join a free live masterclass that I have in September about the top strategies to eliminate bloating and stubborn abdominal fat. So you can click the link that is in my bio and join the free masterclass. So during this live training today, what we are gonna learn is the top biggest mistakes about weight loss and carbs, why you are not losing weight, and what to start doing instead. But before, I want to share a story from my client Marta, also related to this topic. Marta came to me because she couldn't lose weight. For the last 10 years, she was going to many different doctors who put them on a gluten-free diet, dairy-free diet, calorie counting, counting proportions. She did Weight Watchers, a lot of things. But still, her weight didn't move anywhere, nothing. So she said, Elena, you are my last chance. I don't know what to do anymore. So we did a blood work, and then one of the things that we measured was insulin. And insulin seemed to be within the range when we measured it, because the range when you measure fasting insulin can go up to 20. They say if you are higher than 20, you are diabetic. But actually, even if you are within the range and insulin is higher than 5.5, just a slightly high insulin can be an indication that that is what is preventing you from losing weight. Marta's insulin was number 10 when we measured it in the blood work, which it was a little bit high. That was related to hormonal imbalance, to the diet that she had. So we have to work on decreasing insulin levels. After decreasing insulin to normal levels, changing the diet, balancing the hormones, Marta was able to lose 40 pounds. 40 pounds. And when we look that blood work before, it seems to be normal. The doctor said, your hormones are normal, insulin is normal, but it was slightly high. So yes, glucose and insulin spikes could be something that is causing your weight gain. So how this is happening? So first, I want to talk about why calorie counting doesn't work. There is a formula that demonstrates in a metabolism book, a nutrition book, a formula that demonstrates that if we don't burn 20 calories, which is 0.8% of what we eat in one day, we still get 21 pounds in 10 years, which means it's impossible to be that accurate with calories in, calories out. It is not about I'm going to eat a burger and then I go to the gym, I burn it, and everything is fine. It is not about quantity, it is about the quality of what we put in our body. 1,000 calories of French fries is not the same as 1,000 calories of vegetables. It's still 1,000 calories, but what is causing in our body, the effect that is causing in our body is completely different. So calories in, calories out doesn't work. And then the biggest mistake is also going from low fat diets, high carb diets, whenever we want to lose weight. And this is where I want to explain why that doesn't work. So low fat diets don't work because when we cut down in fat, we can end up with a broken metabolism. Cholesterol is the precursor of every single hormone in our body, the stress hormones, the sex hormones, every hormone in our body. So if we don't put fat, we are going to break our metabolism. We are not going to be able to control the metabolic rate. We are not able to lose weight. Also, fat in food help us absorbing some vitamins and minerals that are water soluble, not fat soluble. So they are able to be going through the gastrointestinal tract. And every single cell of every single organ in our body is formed by lipids, saturated fat, and cholesterol. So we do need fat in the body. But then why you don't want to cut in fat? You want to be in a high fat and lower in carb, moderate carbs, whenever you want to lose weight. So there are two fuels in our body. There is glucose and there is fat. Two fuels. We use that for our body to produce energy, for building muscle, for energy source. Two fuels. But if you are a person that is a carb adapted, that you are eating a lot of carbs, that is what you are using as an energy source, not fat. Not because you ran out of the glucose, that means you are going to start using the fat. No, your body is going to be asking for more glucose when you use all the reservoir. So the way it works is when you eat a carbohydrate, no matter if it's refined or is natural sugar, the glucose is gonna increase insulin by the beta cells of the pancreas. Insulin is the glucose storage hormone. It's gonna bind the receptors in our cells and it's gonna help glucose to enter our cells. When glucose enters the cells, 20% of the glucose is going to be transformed in glycogen. Glycogen is the energy source for the body. So only 20% of the glucose that we ingest is going to be transformed into energy. If you put too much glucose, the rest of the glucose that you don't metabolize is going to be transformed by a process called lipogenesis. Is scientifically proved, is a process in our metabolism. Lipogenesis, glucose, glycerol, fat storage. So yes, glucose turns into fat storage. So if you are constantly giving spikes of glucose and carbs to the body, you are not going to use everything as a fuel. You are going to accumulate it also as fat. So it has a lot to do with weight loss. So maybe that's one of the reasons that is not preventing you from losing weight. And actually a really big mistake that a lot of people have is I'm going to eat a granola bar or a yogurt or cereals or other carbohydrate-based snack, like even a fruit, before I'm doing my workout, because that's going to give me energy. And that carbohydrate, what it's doing is 20% of that snack before your workout is transforming to glycogen and giving you energy. The rest of the glucose that you ingest with that meal before your workout is going to be transformed into fat. So you are not going to burn fat from your body, but you are going to also accumulate fat from that carbohydrate meal that you had before your workout. So the key is to prevent constant glucose spikes, insulin spikes, to be able to be a fat burner. So what happens when you are a fat burner? When for a period of time, a long period of time, you haven't been putting glucose as an energy source, then the body says, well, I need some source of energy because I don't have energy, I'm crashing, I need something to give me fuel. So then the body, by a process called lipolysis, is gonna break down the fat storage. So you break down your fat, it's gonna be transformed into simple fatty acids, ketones, and that's gonna be used as a fuel for your body. So if you stop putting glucose, too much glucose, prevent insulin spikes, what we are going to do is shift your body to efficiently be a fat burner. So you are gonna be able to burn fat as a fuel. So stop giving spikes of glucose to the body. Imagine that based on the American Heart Association, a man should be ingesting just from a dietary source 33 grams of sugar. A woman, 28 grams of sugar. Sometimes just from a green juice that you can buy over the counter, you have 60 grams of sugar just on that juice. On a Greek yogurt, you can have 26 grams of sugar. So just with one type of food, you are ingesting the total amount of carbohydrates that you are allowed to eat in one day. So imagine how many carbs you are putting into your body at the end of the day. You are constantly doing this. Up and down with glucose and insulin. So constantly translating that into fat storage. So the outcome of this is you really want to learn how to efficiently shift your body to be a fat burner instead of a glucose burner. So controlling insulin levels by changing your diet, trying to go on low carb diets, healthy high fat diets, because not all the fat is made equal either, and I will talk about that in another live. You are gonna be able to teach your body how to use your own body fat as a fuel. If you are a person that is happy with your weight, you need to put more dietary source, more fat as a dietary source, to put energy, because you don't want to burn your body fat. But if you want to lose weight, you want to be sure that you are putting fat in your diet, but less, because you want to be using your own fat. So we want to activate the lipolysis pathway in our body to break down our adipose tissue and use it as energy. We don't want to be activating too much the lipogenesis, which is turning at the end carbs into fatty acids and fat storage. So I hope this has answered also that question and those comments that I got in a video when people said that weight loss and fat loss doesn't work like that, insulin spikes are normal and they do not prevent fat loss. Yes, we are gonna always get some insulin spikes after a meal. But how many insulin spikes you get after a whole day and how big is that insulin spike and glucose spike is gonna depend on how many carbs you are putting in your body. But also one mistake, not just talking about diet, is don't ignore stress. Don't ignore stress. Stress raises insulin, and too much insulin can increase cortisol, Stress increases cortisol, and too much cortisol increases insulin, and at some point you can even end up with insulin resistance. I have seen in my office so many people that they are diabetic not because of their diet, because of stress. So don't ignore stress, because that can be one of the reasons what is preventing you from losing weight. If you are spiking cortisol too much, that's gonna affect also your insulin levels, and that can cause inflammation and also weight gain. Marisa Blanco has a good question here. So, are you a proponent of intermittent fasting? Definitely yes. An intermittent fasting of 16-17 hours is enough time to control insulin levels. 16-17 hours period is able to help resetting insulin levels, help increasing the human growth hormone. The human growth hormone is the hormone of the vitality, the energy, and the human growth hormone counteracts insulin. When the human growth hormone is high, insulin goes down. So an intermittent fasting overnight of 16-17 hours start helping you in resetting insulin levels by increasing the human growth hormone. So it's also a really good strategy, but be careful how you are gonna break the fast after your intermittent fasting. You don't wanna do a high carbohydrate meal. You wanna break the fast with a protein, fat, and fiber meal, and I should talk about that also as well in another live streaming. So yeah, intermittent fasting can definitely help you with that. So recapping the mistakes, calorie counting doesn't work. Low-fat diets, high-carb diets are gonna give too many insulin spikes, lipogenesis, fat storage. Don't ignore stress and don't eat a big carbohydrate meal before your workout and when you break the fast, because that's gonna cause even more fat accumulation. And so, as I said, ideally you want to shift your body to be efficiently a fat burner. That can take from 4 to 6 weeks depending on the person when you are shifting to be to a low carb diet, and that is going to help you also resetting insulin levels. So I don't know if anybody else have any question. I will be really happy. Put it in the comments, and as you can see in the link below, I encourage you to join me to learn more about this in a free masterclass that I'm teaching on September 13th. It's a completely free masterclass, the top strategies to eliminate bloating and stubborn abdominal fat. So Marisa says, all the data on intermittent fasting apparently was obtained from male subjects only. This is a very important topic. So yes, male and females, they are completely different. The ways of fasting for male and females are different. There are different types of fasting. I should do a whole live streaming about that. That's what I'm gonna do next. There are many different types of fasting. The type of fasting depends if you are a male versus a woman. If you, depending on what you want to accomplish, if it's hormones, if it's inflammation, if it's detoxification. If you have hormonal problems, that's why intermittent fasting for women sometimes doesn't work, but there is definitely studies and evidence about also intermittent fasting for women, but has to be slightly changed and modify also for women, because women hormones, they change every single day, every single week in our month, during our menstrual cycles versus when we don't have the menstrual cycle. That is also different how you wanna fast and if you can fast. Also depends on the type of exercise that you do. There's a lot of different things that control if you should be fasting or not. Not everybody can fast depending on what you are going through. So definitely, Marisa, yes, there are different things to consider when we are fasting, and I will jump live in another live streaming to talk about more intermittent fasting. Thanks for your questions. Thanks so much all for joining, and remember to learn more about this. If you are tired of that stubborn abdominal fat that doesn't want to go away, join my free masterclass, the top strategies to eliminate bloating and stubborn abdominal fat. So thank you so much for joining. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.